Satan tried to get me. Walking my shoes, devil trying to fit me. But he don't know I got the power fit me. Nah, he don't know I got that power. All my life, Satan tried to get me. Walking my shoes, devil trying to fit me. But he don't know I got the power fit me. Nah, he don't know I walk in power fit me.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Thank you for tuning in. It's your man H-Rap coming at you live, not great. Live and direct. This is Interdimension Media. This is a program called Build and Destroy, where I attempt to build a community and destroy the lies and the propaganda that surround our community. Thank you for tuning in as usual. You already know what I'm asking you to do. Hit that like, hit that share, tell a friend and tell a friend and tell a friend to tune in. It is important that you do so, as I do every weekend. I want to thank my parents. Thank you, Dolores and John. Without Dolores and John, there will be no Brian H. Rap B. Williams. There will be no End of the Bench Media. There will be no Build and Destroy. So thank you to both of them. Without them, there is no me. Thank you to all my ancestors and everybody who's connected to me genetically and socially. It is going to be an interesting show. As I say every week, it always is an interesting show. Now, look at the title of the show. It is called Trump, the Nature of the Threat. Trump, the Nature of the Threat. I'm going to get a whole lot of trolls. Good. I need y'all too. Y'all work. Y'all, it works for y'all. You know, it works for me, works for y'all. I mean, trolling, you watching. That's all that's important, right? With that being said, I want to make sure you understand what a threat is. A threat is not imminent danger. A threat is a warning. Donald Trump is a warning to Black America. Again, I'm speaking to the entire country at all times. But as I speak to the entire country, I'm speaking directly to my community, because my community is the most important thing to me right now, because your community should be the most important thing to you. But a lot of people in my community, we are torn in several different directions. Again, a threat. A threat is not a problem. A threat is something that is on the way. A growl from a wolf or a dog. It is a warning. That is a threat. That is saying, hey, any minute now, I am going to do what I need to do to either attack and or protect myself. So that's what a threat is. A tremor before earthquake. That is a threat. A windstorm before a hurricane or a tornado. Those are the threats that's letting you know something is coming. We are in the midst of a bunch of foolishness in the United States of America. We are immersed in election season, which is every year. I need to hammer that home. Every year is election season. When you are part of an oppressed class or a discriminated class, or you're part of something that is when you're under attack, every year is a warning. I have people who I respect on a regular basis tell me, hey man, I don't participate in that. That ain't really my concern, but they don't have any answers. Therefore, what you must do when you don't have actual answers, what we need to do is engage, get involved, and protect ourselves with the laws that are set out in front of us. I forgot something. I apologize. I want to salute this too. Today, it's the anniversary. This is August 6th. Is an extremely important day. Some people think, he's talking. Nope, that's not what I'm talking about. August 6th is an important day in Black American history. Yes, in Black history, because Black history is African history. African history is everybody in the diaspora. Today is an important day in Black history in regards to salute to the people of Jamaica. They got their independence today. And August 6th is Independence Day for the country of Jamaica. Salute. They no longer were under the foot of the British Empire. Salute to our brothers and sisters on the island of Jamaica. Still, thoughts and prayers go out to you. If you can donate anything to the Red Cross, any organization that are helping the people in Jamaica due to that recent hurricane, please do. Another day, August 6th, 1965, 59 years ago today, the Voter Rights Act was signed. The Voter Rights Act was signed, which you don't have the total benefit of that act. And I'll talk about that briefly, but there's also a situation in which ties into my initial topic. Now, back to what I'm saying. Well, he is the threat. Donald Trump is not the problem. He's the threat. He's the warning. Because if you can get this powerful and get pushed in front of the American populace by this much, and you have so many people, even people who are voting and rooting against their own best interests in play. What happens when you have a savvy, a non-lying, a non-deceptive person in that same position? At that point, you're screwed, and that is the danger. Donald Trump is just it's the warning. It's the nature of the threat. It is the warning. The nature of a threat is warning. It is putting you in a situation to whereas, hey, prepare for this. If it was a hurricane, batten down the hatches. If you hear a bunch of people and in the midst of a fight or chaos, it is lock your doors, protect your children, protect your elderly, protect your woman if you're a man, protect your family. This is the nature of the in essence the threat. So I want you to understand, I don't have an issue with this guy because he is a typical white man in the United States of America. I told y'all last week, everybody always say, man, all white people aren't bad. I'm not speaking about all white people. And the head dog holler. If you find yourself Donald Trump adjacent and you're offended by anything I'm saying, then I'm talking about you. But if you find yourself not adjacent to Donald Trump, then again, I'm not talking to you and I'm asking you for your alliance. Or maybe not. You know what? I am asking you for your alliance. The reason I'm asking for your alliance, not because I really want it or we can't make it without you, but if you are the good person that you claim to be, act as such. I'm a good person. Once driving down the street, an elderly person couldn't get across the street. It was just a stop sign because we had rude people in the city of Chicago. I parked my car, got out of my car, assisted her walk across the street. I didn't do that so I could say this one day on my program. I did it more than 15 years ago. But that's what good people do. They do good things and they go on with their lives. So if 165 some odd years ago, the Emancipation Proclamation went into play and we're still fighting that exact same situation, maybe, just maybe, you're not a good person because you've not done everything you can so people won't be oppressed in this country, so people won't be discriminated against this country, and people won't be facing hate crimes, this Gestapo tactics by the police and the United States federal governments and state governments wouldn't be oppressing and underclass people, including you too, non-black person. You're getting the short end of the stick as well. So this is, in essence, part of the threat. Now, when you're dealing with this, this ties into August 6, 1965. Now, August 6, 1965, the Voters' Rights Act, ACT, was signed, and everything was great. Lyndon Baines Johnson did the black people of America a solid. We can vote. We can have our full rights as a citizen. As I stated last week, I am part of Generation X, is part of the only generation in the history of the United States of America that we're the first generation to be born into a country that we're not all white men. As a matter of fact, we're the first generation born in this country because even women didn't always have the right to vote. They had all the rights that are designed in the United States Constitution. First generation, that would be me. How about that? And now I don't have those rights. You know why? Because it was not codified into law. It's time for a congressional hearing. The author of the United States Constitution says this document, this is Thomas Jefferson, these are Thomas Jefferson's words, this document should be rewritten every 20 years because he understood the Constitution, and this is something that you learn in law school. This is something you learn as a criminal justice major. The law is a living, breathing entity. It evolves in accordance to the times. So, and to quote the great Thurgood Marshall, sometimes you have to get ahead of the law and then have the law catch up with you. It's time for us to get ahead of the law. Because if we codify the Voter Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act and make them part of the and make them amendments to the United States Constitution, then the next buffoon, bigot, liar, grifter, then they won't have a chance against us because we will have the constitutional right to do what we need to do to be citizens in this country and never have anything bother us. But because we got relaxed, we took everything that Dr. King said and we said, oh, we have the right. No, you have the right only because somebody signed it into law. And if they make it part of the United States federal Constitution, guess what happens? It can't be taken away. It can be amended. It won't be, because at that point you'll be engaged. And that's our problem, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen. We don't get engaged. We will engage in everything but that. But we need to start being engaged and involved, because if you are a spiritual person, if you had your grandmother around you, you heard people say you are living on the prayers of your grandparents. if you are around my age, or if you were born in the 70s, it is a great chance that you're somebody's grandparent or on the precipice of being someone's grandparents. Therefore, time to start praying. What I need you to do is not only pray, because as we say in the good old church, faith without works is dead. So if you're not gonna work behind those prayers, guess what's gonna happen? And I'm gonna be curt. Your kid, your grandchildren may be dead. I'm being honest with you. I'm not being hyperbolic. I'm not being reactionary, and I'm not trying to invoke a response from you. I'm being honest. We have a legitimate white nationalist attempting to be the leader of the quote unquote free world. The most powerful position in the world is the United States federal government and the leader of the army, because that's what he is. He's not the leader of the government. He's not the leader of this. He's the face of the country and the commander in chief of the army, of the military forces. If you don't know, they're 27 times larger than the next 27 countries, and 16 of those are allies. So if you have a guy with the biggest gun in the history of the world and with the most bullets, and you're gonna put him in charge, well, that sounds like it's one guy by the name of Adolf Hitler. He had too much power and he exercised too much power. And guess what? They had to go in and take him out. There's nobody to take this guy out. So what you can do is arm yourself with rights, arm yourself with information, and arm yourself by engaging the people around you and bringing them into a circle, and then moving forward and mobilizing them, organizing them, and then taking action. And the only way you can do that is through the system. Unless some of the naysayers, who I know are watching, because I get those calls and texts on a regular basis, see, you shouldn't be supporting this or you shouldn't be supporting that. Well, you need to come up with a better plan. If you do, then I'll say your plan on air, then we'll move forward with your plan. But most of those people are just talking. They throw a word salad at you now, and then at the end of it, all they're doing is lip boxing, because then they ended with this, they ain't never gonna let you do that, though. That is the ultimate cop out for the ultimate lazy person in the United States of America today. And I'm talking about people in my community specifically. And what we need to do is stop saying what should, what's not, and what could, and start saying this is what we're going to do, and we're going to take these actions and move forward. See, the reason you're voting is not because Kamala Harris is going to be president and she's going to save the day, because the moment she's elected on what's the second to the first Tuesday of November, what she's going to do is turn the United States of America into Wakanda. We're going to all have white slaves. That's not going to happen. But what you can do is put yourself in a position to whereas we need to be voting down ballot. You need to have the president in order. You need to have the Congress in order. You need to have the Senate in order. You need to have the governors on your side. You need to have the state reps on your side, the state senators, the mayors, the city council, and school council, and so forth and so on. That's what you need to be working on. If you don't know the bottom of the ballot, then it doesn't make a difference who's at the top of the ballot. Like a lot of y'all say, hey man, Obama didn't do anything for black people. Remember, you heard those tropes years and years ago. But guess what? He can always make the cop-out decision to say, hey, I didn't have a Congress behind me. So if you don't follow the rules, it's just like anything else. If you're not praying to God, why you get mad because God didn't give you nothing? If you're not praying to Allah or whoever you pray to, how are you angry that you don't get what you want? If you don't take the time and study, you can't get mad when you get an F if you're not a spiritual person. So what I really want you to do is understand this is what we're up against. And when you educate yourself, what you do is this: you put yourself in a position so misinformation cannot be forwarded to you. And if it is, you just swat it away and you don't pay attention to it. These are the things I need you and others to pay attention to and embrace and grab hold to. So you, the citizen of the United States of America, you, the citizen of wherever you're from, can do everything you can to be the best possible citizen and make that future for your children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, cousins, neighbors, and others safe as possible. We're not going to be without crime. We're not going to be without mayhem and dismay. But what you can do is minimize it and put yourself in a safe haven, and you can empower you and the people around you so you won't have these issues. This is all I'm asking. And if you do those things, then you can walk around and feel comfortable. You can sit on your front porch and smile at your grandchildren, nieces, nephews, cousins, and neighbors. Otherwise, you will be sitting there with a gun waiting on. You'll be sitting there like Rosa Parks' grandfather, the first chapter of her book, her grandfather used to sit in the living room. He had a Winchester across his lap and 2 pistols in his lap, saying, "If the Klan get riled up and come in here, I'm gonna kill as many of them as I can." And that's really the world we live in today. You don't believe me? You have YouTube, you have Instagram, you have TikTok, you have some form of engagement where things outside of your house can come to you. If you're watching this, you definitely have it. Look up some of the militias and things of that nature. But before you do that, listen to what I have to say. We must disengage from these tropes about Vice President Kamala Harris. Does this sound familiar? The reason that, we're questioning her culture, we're questioning her race. Race is a made up construct, first and foremost. White people didn't start in 1504. There was no such thing as a white man before the 1500s. You would call a Spaniard or a German or Anglo-Saxon man from Ireland or England or so forth and so on. Some of the Slavic countries or what have you, Greek, Italian. No such thing as a white man before that. And then you let them tell you she's not black. Neither are you. Neither are you. See, the thing is, I just happen to have a close personal friend who, in essence, could potentially be the father of the next Kamala Harris. He's married to a woman who both of her parents are from India. They are West Indian. They are from the Caribbean, but both of them are West Indian. He is identified as black. But guess what? He did the 24andMe or 23andMe, the DNA test, and it comes back with your hair just broke down. And he found out if you looked at him, you wouldn't even think he's about my complexion, maybe even a little darker. He has 24% white in him. He has 24% European heritage. So guess what? His 2 daughters with a father with 24% non-black heritage and a full, a full slate of Indian Asian heritage. That's exactly what our sister, Vice President Harris is. But guess what? Fun fact, they identify as young black women. So you're going to tell them that they're not black either? Why would you, first and foremost, allow somebody to identify you with color? Your culture is your place of origin. You need to be telling yourself, if you're going to claim something, say you're a citizen of the United States of America, just like people are citizens. You never hear Nigerians say, I'm an African, they say I'm a Nigerian. You never hear Ghanaians say that and so forth and so on. But you've allowed somebody to attach a color to you as if you're some tool or as if you're some article of clothing. And then you're going to decide or disseminate the same information that this dude came to fame with. Guess what? He came to fame because he challenged our brother, former President Barack Hussein Obama. He said he wasn't a citizen. And then you do the same thing 8, 12, 10 years later. How foolish could we be? Let's not do this, people. Let's not do this anymore. Stop allowing people to determine who you are and how you see things. You have people challenging. She's not qualified for this. She has been a district attorney. She's been an attorney general. She's been a U.S. senator. And she's been a vice president of the most powerful country in the world. And you telling me that she may not be qualified, but you're the same people who elected a game show host. We are literally sitting around debating if Johnny Cochran is more qualified to be something than Bob Barker. Listen to what you're doing. Bob Barker versus Johnny Cochran. There's no one on the face of the earth there to say, hey, I need you to run something important and have legalese. We got, on one hand, we have Johnny Cochran. And on the other hand, we have Bob Barker. Now, you might go, man, you tripping on Bob Barker. But guess what? The Barker beauties, the ladies who were on the game show host, they said he used to grab and touch on them, much like this guy. That's why I use Bob Barker. But you are actually comparing an insanely intelligent, educated sister who has legislated to the hilt versus a person who has done absolutely nothing. I had a good friend last week on this very program challenging her, and he said, I didn't engage, but he said, what policies has Donald Trump ever done to hurt the Black community? Well, seeing how we're the most disenfranchised community in the country, let me start here. when you have a United States federal president that offers tariffs to countries as if it's a business deal, then you have those same countries destroy those tariffs by saying, hey, I'm going to break all my contracts with your farmers, and your farmers going to sit there and hold food that usually are sent over here to make out your goods, and now the goods cost more. So when they destroyed those contracts, guess what happened? They had to renegotiate contracts at higher wages, and when you lower wages. When you do it at lower wages, now they're going to overcharge you for the very things that you were making anyway. So they're going to pay less, charge you more, and that's why a bag of Doritos is $2.49 when it used to be $1.20. That's how it works. And that there's a myriad of things. The fact that he made it more difficult for homeowners to get tax breaks, but he made it easier for billionaires to get tax breaks. Then you have foolish people that say, well, it's a trickle down theory. Well, it didn't work 44 years ago, so why would it work today? Another thing, you people are under the people who support Donald J. Trump are under the impression that the economy was good under him. No, it traditionally takes about 4 years for anything to happen that the president does. Therefore, Donald Trump survived off an economy that Barack Hussein Obama created over his 8-year period. And he rolled it out. And all the foolishness that he did while he was in office, you're suffering from it right now. See, these are the things that I'm talking about. Right here, just north of me in Wisconsin, they killed 130 acres of land to put up a technology warehouse that they have absolutely no idea they were supposed to bring in 13,000 jobs. And guess what? It's been 130 jobs handed out, and don't nobody know what they're making in that factory. And guess who was the dude, the golden shovel? Donald J. Trump. See, these are the things. This is called a grift. He is a grifter, a con man, a huckster, an organ grinder. He is what is his name? Barnum and Bailey. He is W.C. Fields. It's a sucker born every minute. Every trope you can use as a con man, that's what he is. And he's fooled you into, he's a strong businessman. How can you be a strong businessman filing bankruptcy 7 times? How can you be a strong businessman and you can no longer borrow money in your home country, so you have to go to places like Russia and other places to borrow money? How can you be a strong businessman and Iran, yesterday, issued a warrant for his arrest, but this is the guy you want to be your president? Listen to what we're dealing with, people. This is just insane. I don't really want to get into this anymore because this is an insult to you, I, and most Black people in Black America today. We can no longer even entertain the situation. But I'm not saying blindly vote for Vice President Kamala Harris. What I'm saying is this. As a matter of fact, I'll say that for the end of the program. What I'm saying is this, though. We need to engage, get a plan, and move forward. So when you see the nature of the threat, Trump, the threat is the warning. Understand it's somebody coming up the pipe who's even more dangerous because they have the aptitude to do what he's saying do. And that's why he's a threat. And that's why he's a problem. And that's why we need to do everything we can to ensure a buffoon like this never gets in power. This is why he is a threat and not the problem. He is actually a threat. We need to move forward. We need to get our stuff in order. And then at that point, we can evolve into a better community. Now, what I want to do is talk to you about the standards. The second thing I want to talk to you about is the standards that we're being upheld to. We can no longer hold ourselves to standards to people who have no standards. You've allowed the people who run this country, you've allowed these bigots and racists that run this country to strip you of all your rights, and they present things and make it as if you're going to benefit from them. The lack of affirmative action. See that you need to have merit. This is called meritocracy. Meritocracy does not exist in America unless you are not a straight, white, powerful man. And then more than likely, if you're a straight, white, powerful man, it's a great chance you might not be that. But you're going along with the party line to get what you need so you can sneak off and do what you want to do. Remember all those Republican, anti-homosexual, anti-LGBTQ people got caught in those airports, stomping on the floor, letting other people from the LGBTQ know that they're down? Remember that? We don't want to talk about that. We don't talk about those things. We talk about the things that don't count, like this group of ministers in the state of Florida that allowed Ron DeNazi, the governor of the state of Florida, to just uphand AP classes, AP African American history. So you can take a class in high school. So you will be ahead of the curve academically. And then guess what? They did away with it because they don't want you to teach homosexuality. No one teaches homosexuality in a class. And if you could teach somebody, this is what I want to know. This has nothing to do with what I was going to talk about tonight, but this is just something I have to say. Look, if you agree or disagree with the LGBTQ community, that's cool. That's your business. But if you could look at television long enough, and all of a sudden you will pick up homosexual tendencies. Why is it that why is it anyone in America, as much TV is consumed in America, why is anybody still gay? Because all you see is on TV for the last 50 years is more than likely all about 95% heterosexual behavior. How did they become gay in the first place? Are those the only people? Oh, so LGBTQIE people, they're the people without the TVs in America, and that's how they got tricked into it. Come on, man, stop it. Stop it. But back to what I was saying, we must stop. We must stop aligning ourselves with these whack standards that they are not even adhering to. I bring this up on a weekly basis. What we have to do is this. We must find a cure for the Stockholm syndrome that me and my people are adjacent, that we've actually been married to. We must actually sever that. We must end that contract with whiteness. We are in a contract with whiteness that we must be adjacent to them. We must embrace and love on them the way they want us to, because then we'll be okay. See, I need to sit up straight. See, hey, Rob, you need to sit up straight on your show, man, because then you'll look more professional. We're not even adhering to what I'm saying. You're not paying attention to the warnings I'm giving you, but you are slouching a little. Okay, cool. I'm no longer gonna slouch. All right. Right. Occasionally use too much slang. You shouldn't speak that way. You should speak the King's English to the Queen's taste. Much like you need to be speaking like Barack Obama, which no sane people didn't respect. He was the most qualified president in the history of the country, and none of them respected him. Or maybe I need to speak like Dr. King, the same guy that spoke peace, spoke liberty for all, spoke about humanity, and somebody shot him. And then you have a very loquacious guy by the name of Malcolm X, Huey P. Newton, Fred Hampton, Shirley Chisholm. All these people were dismissed and done away with. Some of them weren't murdered, but they were just whatever. But that's what you want us to act like, right? Or maybe, just maybe, we could just immerse ourselves in our own culture, seeing how most people on earth, EARTH, are emulating us. So ain't got no. When I was in 40 years ago, I was leaving the 8th grade. Ain't got no was inappropriate. Now everybody say ain't got no. I be. You know why? Because people are emulating us because we're the description of cool. And should you be trying to be intellect or cool? I would pick intellectually astute. But I'm just saying, if this is who we are and this is how we interact, it's okay to speak like Brian Gumble. It is definitely okay to speak like Brian Gumble, but it's also okay to speak like Chad Ochocinco. It's also okay to speak like my man Shannon Sharp. It's okay to do those things. It's okay to be yourself. It's called dialect. Everywhere else in the world is called dialect. But we have a contract with whiteness. We want to be a part of this white thing, because if we're a part of this white thing, we'll be accepted, and then we'll be able to do absolutely nothing because they'll still be in power because they're emulating you. And if you ever stop and look back, you'll see that most people who you are attempting to impress with your intellect, that you're attempting to emulate with your stature and the things that you hold in high regard, they're not doing those things. They're emulating you. Subtract Black people from television, and you won't have as many entertaining television shows as you think you have. While you pat people like Norman Lear on the back, he stole from Michael Evans. And I can't think of this guy right now that he stole from. The guy ended up being a drug addict. Most of Norman Lear's most successful and longest running shows are shows in which we are there. We are there. Nobody remembers. How many times you hear somebody quote, "Hey, remember that time on the Brady Bunch?" Never. Nobody remembers that. It's Friends was the most popular show in the world. You don't hear people quoting Friends like they said on Friends. No, you don't. Ask somebody. Spike Lee did in 1989 in one of his movies, Do the Right Thing. The dude Pino, him and Pino in the corner. Who's your favorite basketball player? Who's your favorite singer? Who's your favorite? He named all black people. So while we are attempting to adhere to the standards and we're married into whiteness, we are no longer being our true and full selves. And there's nothing wrong with adhering with the standard. There's nothing wrong with speaking the king's English to the queen's taste, articulating, enunciating, and being yourself in its full self. But it's also nothing wrong with ain't got no. Because to quote the great Dr. Claude Anderson, the purpose of language is to disseminate thought between people. In the event that you expound on anything and the person who you're talking to receives it and understands it, guess what happens? That's called communication. You're okay. It's okay. And guess what? We have been code switching since we've been here. We have been code switching since you've been here. Because if you think for 1 second, jag-leg dudes like Kanye and the rest of those buffoons that follow him really believe our ancestors they chose to be enslaved, you're stupid as he is. And I mean that. I don't mean that in a colloquial way. I mean it in a direct way. Because it's the reason that they had to create what is called a patty rollers, aka the police department, because they were enslavement catchers. Because you had people trying to escape. It's the reason that you had the code switch, because if you were a proud man, you had to kowtow down just to live and see the next day. Or when you were in that room by yourself, you plotted on how to get away. And if not, if you might have been like Nat Turner and other hundreds and hundreds of people who created enslavement revolts. So a slave is not a person. These are the things that we need to realize that we're dealing with unintentionally. There's a book that I was reading recently, and it talked about these two characters. And it said, so what do we do in the midst of this war? And it was talking about a social war. He said, well, what we must do is heal our people. The second dude said, no, what we have to do is divorce ourselves from their reality. And what he means by that is when you are doing everything you can to be the best you can, make sure it's the best that you could be, not the best that they want you to be. Isn't it all insanely ironic that it's a bunch of our sisters that are extremely curvy, voluptuous, and when we see them, when the average brother see a sister, she'll look thick in the thighs, we go, ooh, there you go. But when they see them, they call them overweight. And now, as you continue to live, their women are trying to get thick in the thighs and curvy, and our women are trying to get smaller. You're beautiful the way you are, and we're gonna love you no matter, because it's what we are. It's genetic. We are genetically predisposed to enjoy your voluptuousness and your dark skin and your full lips and your wide nose and your tightly curled hair. You don't have to color your hair blonde. You don't have to do anything for a black man to love a black woman, but be a black woman. So, and black men, a lot of us with the voila, you don't need all that concholine in your head either. Just be yourself. Stop allowing people to tell you who you are and how you should be. That's all we need to do. See, when we divorce ourselves from their reality, we will step into our full selves. And then when you heal your wounded, who's the wounded? The mentally wounded. Then you can stop. You can stop loving somebody else's version of the creator. You can stop loving someone else's form of dress. You can stop loving someone else's form of their woman or your woman or whatever, and you will embrace who you are. So both the characters in the book were correct. Divorce yourselves from their reality and heal your people. How you heal your people? You educate your people. Because see, when you think here, you think broken arm, broken leg, back injury, no, this is spiritual healing. This is spiritual healing. You realize that the creator of the universe gave you everything you need and put everything on earth to make you the best thing you can be. Apples, they fight depression. Yeah, I'm suffering depression. Do you eat any fruit? No, not really, man. I'm gonna go down to McDonald's and get to some of that anxiety-filled fake beef that they got down there. Then when I eat that, I'm gonna take on the anxiety of that animal that was poorly executed, and he was in an infested place, so he got anxiety and stress, and I'm gonna eat that, and you wonder why you suffer from anxiety. But if you ate a few apples every day or a few apples every week, that is a natural anxiety pill. My blood pressure, how's the cat? You eat beets? No, not really, but beets are filled with antioxidants that help the flow of blood, which the flow of blood is the number one reason that your pressure is so high. Celery, watermelon. Why you think they outrule? That's why you think they make it embarrassing for you to eat watermelon, because watermelon is a plant that serves as a hydrator, an antidepressant, full of antioxidants, full of vitamin C, all the things that fight away diabetes, high blood pressure, hypertension, and things of that nature. But we are no longer eating those things. But guess what? Your ancestors chose the watermelon for that thing because you were not gathered up and put in a pile and then brought over here. No, they got the agricultural specialists, they got the architectural specialists, and they got the warriors, and they brought them over here. They left the scientists and the doctors over there, because if you got the scientists and the doctors, they're going to heal you. And if they heal you, you'll revolt. And if you revolt, you'll just take over that situation. These are diabolical people. Just understand the continent of Europe flushed its toilets, and they brought those white men, white men and women to this country. They don't tell you about how they turned into cannibals before the First Nations people assisted them. They don't tell you about that, because then that destroys that image. Now you're still married to their reality. I'm gonna show you something in this video, and I'll be back shortly. I got a video that I want to show you. I agree with some of it. I want you to watch it with the intent to understand, not just the intent to hear the words. What I want you to do is watch this video and realize Black men are horrible without Black women. Black women, you're horrible without Black men. Don't go into the hierarchy thing that he'll get into towards the end of the video, but I just want you to understand what he's talking about. This man, H-Rap-B, I'll be back. I will be back in 6 minutes, 20 seconds.
To begin, this video will focus on the Yoruba concept of gender roles. Even though Africa is very diverse, most individuals who claim that traditional gender roles are un-African are speaking about our ancestors from West and Central Africa, the Yoruba perhaps being the most well-known among them. Surprisingly, I didn't have to search long to find information that countervailed the premise. This is not at all to say that the Yoruba case is true for the entire continent, but it can serve as a lesson to avoid absolute thinking regarding African culture, and more specifically, our ancestors. And that's the foundation of this video. It's better to avoid absolute statements when it comes to African people or culture. Acknowledging diversity amongst our ancestral pool is the rule. Let's begin. The Yoruba have in their culture what some may refer to as a religious text called the Ifa Corpus, or the Odu Ifa. The Odu Ifa was presumably transcribed from oral tradition. The Odu Ifa is the sacred text of the spiritual and ethical tradition of Ifa that has its origins in ancient Yoruba land, which is located in modern Nigeria. Moreover, Odu Ifa is one of the great sacred texts of the world and a classic of African and world literature. Like all great sacred texts, it includes a wide range of literary forms and subjects ranging from divination, art, literature, and medicine to history, spirituality, and moral instructions for daily life. While some consider it a religious text, as mentioned before, others consider it to be an encyclopedia containing ancient Yoruba wisdom and thought. The Odu Ifa is a good reflection of Yoruba belief systems and worldviews. It's a deep instantiation of their culture. Interestingly enough, the Odu Ifa speaks directly about gender roles. Some verses of the Odu Ifa highlight the importance of men and women working together and promotes the idea of mutual respect. Partnership and equality between men and women seem to be ordained by the divine. In Odu 248, verse 1, This stress on equality, partnership, and respect is reaffirmed. For in the narrative of creation, the male Orisha fail in their assignment to make the world good by not including the one female Orisha, Oshun, among them. When they return to heaven to report their failure, Olodumare asks them two questions. Where is the woman among you? And did you give her due respect? He then instructs them to go back and include her so that all their work will succeed, and it does. The divine instruction, to a degree, seems to be reflected in Yoruba society, as women have played some important political and economic roles throughout Yoruba land. Despite access to power for some Yoruba women, a woman's role in Yoruba society was not always harmonious. A deeper look into gender roles in Yoruba society reveals what scholar Sophie Oluwole calls paradoxes in Yoruba principles. Though some verses in the Odu Ifa evince equality and partnership between men and women, there are other verses that have a different tone, instructing how the gender roles should function in a marriage. The husband is the leader of the wife.
Hi, everyone. Mark Barden here at Sandy Hook Promise. On December 14th, 2020.
This principle within the Odu Ifa is very direct and seemingly contradicts the earlier message of equality and partnership. Sophie Oluwole highlights this and simply asks questions concerning the apparent contradiction. Now, this is my personal observation and interpretation of the information. Do take caution with the following analysis. While women were granted respect and honor in Yoruba society, occasionally allowed positions of power and influence, it seems as though in direct relationship with Yoruba men, they were still seen as subservient. That one verse in the Odu Ifa proclaiming husbands are the leaders of their wives ostensibly held a lot of weight for the average Yoruba man. And because they were leaders in the home, they naturally became leaders in most avenues of society as well. According to Sophie Oluwole, any woman achieving power in Yoruba society was seen as taking on masculinity. In other words, leadership was intrinsically viewed as male or masculine. The point is that the majority of women were seen as playing more subservient roles than those played by most men. However, the ancient Yoruba never lost sight of the possibility that a few women may be masculine in achievement. Now, we still have to take caution because this interpretation of a paradox or contradiction in Yoruba society may not have been seen as such within Yoruba society. Perhaps a husband being a leader to the wife does not contradict the idea of equality or partnership, and it may not be appropriate to apply a Western standard. That's one way to look at it. Either position you choose to adopt holds weight. Though the Odu Ifa has some charitable takes on women's societal role, within marriage, it seems quite traditional in a Western sense. The Odu Ifa seems to leave little to no room for any other interpretation with that one verse quoted previously. While other African groups may accommodate non-traditional attitudes, thereby affirming the original premise, I think the example of the Yoruba people say otherwise, proving in a rather direct way that traditional gender roles did indeed exist on the continent, and more specifically, amongst one of our ancestral traditions. Well, guys. If you like these videos and want to help in its continued production, consider supporting the home team on patreon.com.
Thank you for tuning in, Shaman H. Rap. Coming back. I'm returning. Thank you, Al. I'm returning to shut up, to speak about that video. Thank you. As you saw, you can take that one or two ways. You can say, hey, man, we're not subservient to anybody and things of that nature. But I want the women, if you were offended, I apologize first and foremost. But if you're willing to listen to my opinion of the interpretation of the Aruba culture, you can say that the man is in charge. And let's say we did. Well, the man is in charge, and you can say, hey, God put us in charge and things of that nature. But guess what? The woman is the first teacher. And the woman is the first lover of the child, and the child will always love his mother more than he loves anything in the history of the world. Even if you have a horrible relationship with your mother, it's probably because you yearn to have a better relationship with your mother. So with that being said, if I'm in charge of the home and the mother's in charge of the children and I'm treating the woman right, guess what? Everything works the way it's supposed to work. So we don't have to worry about who's in charge. And that's because as he stated, that's a Western civilization way of seeing things. There's several things that are interpreted over on the other side of it, on the eastern side, on the western side of the Atlantic Ocean, that are just not the way it was designed on the eastern side of the Atlantic Ocean. So what we need to do is start worrying about the semantics of this and that and gender and this, and then start worrying about the fact that I am here to protect, to provide and love the people in my family, the woman in my life. She's going to love the children in our lives, and we will continue to build that and expand on that community. Because when I love the woman will love the children bring other children around. I'm forced to love those children. And when you see me loving on your children, you'll have love for me. And when you have love for me, you'll protect my children. And guess what? At that point, we have a family. We have a community. And at that point, you have a clan, a nation, and that's the way the DNA of humanity works. But if you want to buy into words and get into semantics, then you will, and then you continue to struggle the way you're struggling at this point. Now, talked about having a plan shortly before the video, and I said I will cover that at the end of the show, and that's what I'm about to do. See, me personally, I believe we spend too much time focusing on white nationalists, white supremacy, and the thoughts of white people who don't like us. I've worked around a myriad of people in all different cultures, all different places on the earth. I worked for this the largest media corporation in on earth. It's called Reuters, Reuters. I used to be in data applications. I had people from all over the country, all over the world sitting near me. Most importantly, I used to sit right next to this dude. He looked like a brother from Chicago. He was from Egypt. His name was Jadobi. Now, Jadobi was from Egypt, and we used to exchange and have great conversation, and it was nothing cantankerous, and it was always a pleasant situation. I educated him on things. He educated me on things. So the reason I brought Jadobi up is at no point did he bring up his oppressors. We talked about how the job wasn't doing us right, but that was our common ground. You don't see a bunch of white nationalists caring about what's going on in Black America. They want to control Black America. The people who they have in play do everything they can to keep their boot on the neck of Black America, but they're not really concerned with us. And again, as I stated, music. Everybody love Prince. Most people love Prince. Most people love Michael Jackson. Most people love Stevie Wonder. Most people love Marvin Gaye. Most people love Smokey Robinson. So forth and so on. Most people love Denzel Washington. Most people love Eddie Murphy. Most people respect Cornel West. Most people respect a whole bunch of Black people from think tanks. You love Dr. King. You respect Malcolm X. If you are intelligent and you're Black, you're respected. If you're entertaining, you're Black, respected. If you're athletic and you're Black, you're respected. So why is it that we're caring about what's going on over there? What we have to do is put ourselves in positions to protect each other and protect ourselves. Hey, I'm gonna say this probably every week until we do it. I need everybody who within the reach of my voice that's in my community to go get licensed to own a firearm. If you live in a state like the wonderful state of Texas or Georgia or Florida, where you could just go in a store and purchase a firearm, I really need you to go do it. I need you to get trained in firearms. And hey, if you have a felony, guess what? You can still have a shotgun. You can still get this. You can't have a 9mm, but you can have a semi-automatic rifle. How about that? I'm not asking people to do this for violent purposes. I need you to protect yourself. Because here's the thing. If you are in fear enough to not be prepared to protect yourself, and the other side knows these things, the other side will try you. Next thing I want you to do is go get a passport. It costs $180. $180 to get a passport. It may cost you a couple extra dollars if you need the birth certificate. So it may be a little extra, maybe $210. But most people in this country got something that they really didn't need, and they spent $210 on. Or I know you spent $80 twice. There you go. We can do that. And $80 of them, there you go. $40 on the bag, pair of shoes, wallet. Or myself, I like watches. So there you go. Then I need you to put yourselves in, those annoying group texts that we be in around Christmas, Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, those texts that we hate. Or you're in a group text about football, baseball, basketball, power, housewives, or whatever it is that you're in that group text talking about people, class, or whatever. What we need to do is start talking about things. Earlier in the program, I mentioned the Voters' Rights Act of 1965. Okay, here's something. I'm gonna add some things to the list that we need to do. We need to codify that into law. They need to be constitutionalized. What that means is it needs to be made into law. So you don't have to fight for your rights. Every 50 years, they have to re-codify that. No, we need to have a rewriting. We need to have a constitutional Congress. That's something that we need to get involved with. A constitutional Congress to rewrite the Constitution to sort of benefit everyone and not just rich white people. But up until and including, we need to have these senators. We need to have Vice President Harris, soon to be potentially President Harris, her and Waltz. They need to be talking about having the Voters' Rights Act a law. We need to expand the Supreme Court so we can stop having these white nationalists tell us what to do, so women can have control over their bodies again. Women make up half the population in the country. Actually, they probably make up about 60% of the population in the country because there's more women than men. So guess what? We need to have them have total autonomy over their bodies. We need to do that again. We need to do that again. So after you do voters, firearms, passports, affirm your rights as a citizen, and then you need to go back to the 1964 Civil Rights Act. I don't care about going to a store that they don't want me in, because if I feel discrimination when I walk into anything, I'm leaving. You need me. I don't need that new pair of shoes. I don't need that new watch. I like watches. I don't need another watch. You need my money though. So that's what we need to do. So we got three things: the Civil Rights Act, the Voters' Rights Act, firearms. And then I want you to understand, we're going to rewrite the criminal justice system. People, everybody's, the right of the people who are opposed to Vice President Harris. She says she's too light on criminals, and now she's too heavy-handed on criminals because they're stupid enough to believe that we're dumb enough to understand that Kamala Harris, well, when she was Attorney General, 1,400 black men got arrested for marijuana possession. At that time, possession of marijuana was illegal. So we're actually arguing that she shouldn't have locked up criminals. I know people that have fractured the law too. It could have been me. If I would have been caught, if it would have been me, if I'd have been apprehended while doing one of those illegal acts, then at that time, I should have been punished. But 1,469 of those men were apprehended, 49 of them did prison time. She also implemented a program so you don't go to prison if you go continuing your education. That's how you rewrite the criminal codes. Understand, most of the laws that are created in the United States of America was to make sure you were re-enslaved. There's a but clause in the 14th Amendment. Indentured servitude without pay is illegal. But if you commit a crime, you can be incarcerated and re-enslaved. So they created things like a loitering law. So if I kick you off a plantation and you have no place to go, but you need 30 days to find some place to go, and I don't even know the terrain, I don't know, I'm barely speaking the language, I don't know anything about this place, I either A, go back and work for that dude, Mr. Charlie, or I'll go to jail and he rents me out and treats me worse. We need to do away with some of these laws. Yeah, if you are apprehended at age 16 and you get your act together, or 18 and you get your act together, that felony shouldn't follow you around for the rest of your life. And you could be an idiot like some of these jag legs that I saw on this podcast talk about, well, what about this and what about this? Why must you and other JAs figure out ways for your people to be hurt? Of course, we don't want pedophiles working around children. Of course, we don't want thieves working at banks. But if you have a simple possession, or if you made the decision, a poor decision to be a criminal, and you figured it out, and because remember, in the late 70s, early 80s, the penitentiary system was crime and rehabilitation. Now it's crime and punishment. If we're going to put these people in cages and potentially rehabilitate them, maybe we need to give them the ability to go on in traditional society. Why would you incarcerate me and then say I can't go use public housing? The same things my tax dollars are being used for. Because when I pay my cell phone bill, tax dollars. When I buy something to eat, tax dollars. When I pay my light bill, tax dollars. When I pay my internet bill, and so forth and so on, there's nothing you pay without tax. So again, if you can't use the tax dollars that you pay, isn't that why they even had that war in 1776? Taxation without representation. How is it that you're gonna let me out the penitentiary, but I can't go to my mother's house who lives in public housing, which induces me to commit crime, which increases the recidivism rate. And now the people who own these privatized prisons, they get richer. Understand that it's a plan against you. How about this? If I need you to look up universal basic income. Universal basic income. That's what I want you to look up. It is important that you look this up. Universal basic income states that the United States federal government will give every citizen X amount of dollars. Oh man, that's welfare. That's socialism. Your point? No, it's capitalism at its best. See, because if you have a universal basic income, you don't worry about lights, gas, food. Now you can go to school so you can go be the greatest poet in the history of the world, and you can sell books because you're the greatest poet in the history of the world, because your universal basic income covers those things. Capitalism on top of universal basic income will entice you to become a manager, because no, I don't want to live in public housing all my life. I don't want to live with the bare minimum. I want to create my own business. I want to own a grocery store and things of that nature. Now it reduces crime and it induces the ability to strive forward. Universal basic income is something that works throughout the world, and it does, and it hasn't even been tried here. Universal health care. See, these are the things we need to be asking Vice President, potentially new President Harris, to do, because then we don't have to spend trillions of dollars on bombs and ships. We can spend that same trillions of dollars on fixing the roads, teaching our young black men and women how to be electricians, teaching them getting into pipe fitters, you know, the jobs that highfalutin people no longer want. And they're extremely high paying places of employment. And they're not strenuous. You're using your intellect to get these things. So these are the things that I want us to look into so we can become a better nation of black people. And then we can add even more exponentially to the nation of the United States of America. Come to this person with a game plan. The Voters' Right Act. Basic universal income. Health care. So women don't have to get in contact with a man to have her body taken care of. Because you never notice, ain't no men have no issues with health care. We have it. So these are the things I want you to look into. Add things to that list. Add things to that list, because if you add things to that list will grow exponentially, and then we can make them work for us. We no longer need to be working for them. We need to be working for us. With that being said, as usual, I want to thank you for tuning in every week. It's been great. As usual, it's always great to talk to my people. It's always great to talk to my people about how we can enhance our lives and make our lives better, each and every one of us. As usual, I want to thank the people in the chat room. It is great seeing you guys. Thank y'all. Hit that like, hit that share, subscribe if you haven't. I want to thank the people who are watching on Twitch. I want to thank the people who are watching on Fanbase. I want to thank the people who are watching on Twitter. And I no longer broadcast on Facebook because I don't like Facebook, and I'm tired of making Mark Zuckerberg money. If at all possible, please, James Brown, please sign up for Fanbase. It is a application that was created by Isaac Hayes III. And the reason I even bring it up and promote it is because Isaac Hayes III has taken out the time in his life to create an opportunity for me to make more money. Shout out to the great Isaac Hayes III. I really appreciate it. I'm sharing it on Twitter now, which I should have shared it earlier, but I didn't. And it'll be shared on Twitter right now. And I'll be brought, and the people on Twitter who support me, they'll be watching later. But I want to thank the people like the people who give me inspiration. And those people are a lot of people out there. And what I'm going to do, as usual, when I'm having a darndest time pulling up that list. Well, anyway, I think I know most of those people by heart. And here we go. That is Willie D, Nori, Talib Kweli, Zoe Williams, Sway Calloway, Roland Martin, Clay Kane, Larry Daniel Favors, Dr. Greg Carr, his co-host Lamont King, and Karen Hunter. I would like to thank each and every one of you for subscribing and paying attention to me every week, because otherwise I'm just a dude who talking and looking into a camera, talking to himself. It is great to see you guys. I see you guys in 7 days, or maybe less. You know, sometimes I get the inspiration to pop on and do something in the middle of the day, because y'all know I work overnights. Y'all know how this thing works. I am H-Rap-B. This is Build and Destroy. 2 fingers, 1 word, and I got my main man, Big Mo, taking us out.
We lust for that cheese, we lose sleep, dreams of that cream. We killing our teens, they dying for this American dream. Them government schemes, they turning us to hustlers and fiends. We hustling trees, them politicians smuggling green. Chasing that cheese, got everybody stressed in the streets. Pardon me for speaking freely, let it breathe. Evangelists preach the congregations out of their seats. They writing them checks for tithes, now it's people can't eat. She stripping for change for school, now she giving them brains. She used to that loot, she earning, now she giving them strain. He new to this game, but hungry, so he cooking his cane. He getting that paper, but then they gave him 2 to the brain. It's rules to this game, but hustlers never hustle for fame. The spirit of greed is grimy, so we struggle to change. They put us in chains to take away our African names. But if we submissive and don't resist, then who do we blame? It's all a game, man. These Europeans thinking they claim, and you a victim of their game plan. You thinking they ain't, you thinking they saints. Remember all them niggas they hang? Killed our women and our children, all our leaders is slain. They gave us Obama, but that nigga was hoping for change. But Zimmerman is killing niggas and he free. Shit is crazy, babies having these babies and getting checked. But keep the child from they pop to rip his heart out his chest. Our rappers was leaders and now they in the booth in the dress. Spitting bullshit and making more but giving us less. They taking our sound and changing ours, dumbing it down. They taking our jobs and homes and they shutting us out. They taking our kids because it ain't a man in the house. They locking us down, but soon they gon' be wiping us out. They told our women they was too independent to need a man. They told our brother he was too insignificant to advance. It's all a game, man. These Europeans staking they claim. And you a victim of their game plan. You thinking they ain't, you thinking they saints. Remember all them niggas they hang? Killed our women and our children, all our leaders is slain. It's all a game.